Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hello.
You're using your Hello Kitty
I
whatever
love
that I got
it.
you.
Yeah, my little Tumblr.
Yes, your tongue is so cute.
Thanks, Boo. It matches all my aesthetics.
Good. I'm glad you like it. So cute.
It does. Yay. So today we're going to talk about PCOS. Finally. Something so unfortunately common for a lot of women these days. And I think there's just a lot of confusion about it. So I want to know what you guys know about it and what you guys think about it, feel about it, and what kind of questions you guys have about it.
Well, for me, I feel like I don't know much about it. I mean, I've got a lot going on down there, but luckily she didn't tell me I have PCOS. She's like, you have fibroids and you have endometriosis, but I'm good on the PCOS. So
Because
So yeah, I'm
ah,
eager to learn, and
mhm.
yeah, I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I know too much. I only know, well, first of all, I had never heard of it until I started working online with women in weight loss. And I started seeing all these women posting about PCOS, PCOS. So I finally, probably about a year into coaching, I was, what is PCOS? And then so ever since then, I've had some girls with it. I've had some girls find out they've had it while we're working together. So just really figuring out how to help them navigate through it. But I do know it's harder for them to lose weight. So it's a tricky spot. And I like to work with, their teams or whoever they're working with to make sure I'm doing as much as I can. But I'm glad we're talking about this because I think I still work with a couple girls that have PCOS right now. So I think they requested this one too.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, so I just like to say what it stands for because everyone says PCOS and it's just polycystic ovary syndrome. But it's kind of like one of those things that doesn't make like the most sense because you don't have to have cysts to have PCOS. It's a very like common misconception, I feel. And actually, when I was learning about this, they were talking about how there was a potential name change, and this was the name that was like in the works at the time, hyperandrogenic persistent ovulatory dysfunction syndrome.
Oh,
Just keep it PCOS. At that
yes.
point, like that's crazy.
That's a tongue twister.
I was like, that's the longest name I've ever heard of.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But it is an inflammatory endocrine disorder, obviously. A big driver is inflammation, and then we have to figure out the driver of inflammation. But speaking on that, like cyst part of it, is that like only about 20% of women, or I'm sorry, yeah, 20% of women who do not have PCOS have cysts. So you can have cysts and not have PCOS, and then you can have PCOS and not have cysts. That's like 30% of women who do have PCOS don't have cysts. So
Okay.
if like the main thing is like, well, you can still have PCOS
So where
Yeah.
do you have these cysts if you do have them and you have PCOS? Like where are these cysts?
on the
That
ovary.
on the ovary? Okay, because I
Yeah.
have cysts on my ovaries, but yeah, they're saying that those were endometriosis. So what's the difference between endometriosis cysts
Great
versus
question.
PCOS cysts?
So endometriosis would be the endometrial tissue creating that.
Mhm.
But like cysts are antral follicles, so basically follicles that haven't like matured yet, that just like
Mhm.
stay kind of, I would say, stuck almost like on your ovary.
Okay,
Mm.
so do they grow or no?
They can, yeah, they can grow, they could get really big, they can burst and cause a lot of pain, all that kind of stuff. So when you go to like for an ultrasound, they're looking at like anywhere between 2 and 9 millimeters with an ultrasound, upwards of like 12 cysts
Hmm.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
So that's what the diagnosis they look for, but I think it's probably gotten a little bit more lenient and like if you're showing symptoms of PCOS, all other symptoms, and you are starting to accumulate cysts, I think that's a red flag to me, like, hey, you probably should be that specifically, or looking at it from that lens.
Can you share with us what some of those symptoms might be for our listeners as well?
Yes. Well, one is that a resistance to weight loss,
Mm.
typically because a lot of women will have like insulin resistance
Hmm.
and blood sugar, imbalances. And then acne is a huge one, especially like jawline or back acne, I would want places like chin hair, hair on your back, hair on your stomach. That's more prominent, more manly, so to speak, because typically that's driven by high androgens.
Mm.
And that's another big sign of PCOS. The cycle one would be like very irregular cycles.
Mm.
Typically, they're a lot longer. We're talking past that before they start another cycle because ovulation is being prevented each cycle. So they have a period and then they don't have ovulation for weeks. If they
Whoa.
have it at all, and then they finally ovulate maybe, and then, that takes time. And then typically we're looking at like 35 plus days for a complete
Mm.
cycle for a lot of women because it's that ovulation part of it that's getting interrupted.
Wow. And so, do you think that's why, like, so many women I talk to are just finding out in their late 20s and their early 30s that they have PCOS? Is because it's on the cycle and maybe they just don't go to the doctor for it or something? I don't
Yeah,
know.
they might not notice, because you can start developing the PCOS symptoms and kind of like patterns, I guess, in your teen years, but you probably won't get a diagnosis for years. Just like with endometriosis, it takes like years. Like they're not looking at that kind of stuff for whatever reason. I have no idea. Um, but yeah, it could take years too. And then most women don't realize until they want to conceive, until they try and start conceiving
Ah.
because then there's a lot of trouble because they have these anovulatory cycles, which means those follicles are not maturing enough to get pregnant. It also
Mm.
messes with like LH, which is luteinizing hormone. So we have like follicle stimulating hormone that helps stimulate the follicle, and then luteinizing hormone, which that's what you need to kick off ovulation to release that egg. But if it's being disrupted and it's not spiking enough to release the egg, then you're stuck with like, okay, well, now you're not ovulating.
I see.
Yeah. To get diagnosed, you have like two out of the Rotterdam criteria. So that would be the criteria is irregular or no ovulation, and then high androgens like testosterone, for example, and then the polycystic ovaries or cysts on the ovaries. So any combination of the three would classify as PCOS. So you could have the classic one, which is literally having all three. You can have just the ovulatory issue and high androgens with no cysts, high androgens and cysts with no ovulation issue. And then you can have the ovulation issue and cysts with no high androgens.
Hmm. Okay. To know because of the, I'm thinking of a couple clients right now that I know have PCOS. And then even in the past, like the two biggest things for them have been the insulin resistance, and then so figuring out like with food and their nutrition has been a big part of their journey. But something else you mentioned, oh, obviously the inflammation are like the two
Mhm.
big ones for us. But now, like the more detailed is you're giving me this, these very important tidbits. I'm like, I'm going to be asking your doctors for even more information now. Like,
Yeah. Actually, 60 to 70% of women with PCOS have insulin resistance. It's a huge, huge factor. And then when you really look at how all of those things interact with each other, increased androgens, like you have excess androgens, that can cause insulin resistance. And then insulin resistance or increased insulin in the body can cause the ovaries to make more androgens. So then you're like in this cycle.
mm.
So it's a nice little web that's weaved there.
Yeah, and so that kind of makes me want to ask, like, I mean, I don't think there's a cure for this, right? But there's a way to live with it and the symptoms and all that. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so you can reverse your symptoms and or manage them. A lot of women who have like lived with PCOS for a long time have reversed their symptoms and can live, more balanced, I guess, in their lives. And
Okay.
some haven't like shaken it yet, where it's easier for them to just manage it because it is one of those things it's unfortunate that you get it, right? But you do still have to work a little bit more than the average person who doesn't have it to be balanced and to manage those things, you know? So, and that just is what it is. I think that people like to skate around that, but you do have to work a little harder to
Hmm.
get there.
Yeah.
Have it forever type of thing? Like you're just always dealing with it, or you can just completely not have it once you've had it before.
Yeah, and that's like the weird thing about wording on stuff, I'd say, is like you can lower your androgen levels and keep them low. You can reverse insulin resistance and maintain that. It's not without work though.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't say it goes away forever. But yeah, I don't like to say like, oh, it's you're all of a sudden cured because you're likely more easily, predisposed to getting those things again.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yes, if you're not
gotcha.
staying on top of it, it's management, really.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm. And does that does that affect fertility? Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, you have to ovulate
Mm-hmm.
to and you're not producing enough progesterone, that becomes a pattern. So let's say you ovulate, but it's been cycles and cycles and cycles of not ovulating, and your progesterone production is very low. So let's just say you do ovulate, you have intercourse, the egg gets fertilized, but your progesterone's so low now it's not going to make it. Either it's a miscarry or, you don't have enough progesterone to carry on and build that implant the egg, I guess you would say.
Okay.
Hmm.
So there's a few different like avenues of which that's very difficult for people to have babies, and that drives a lot of women to other alternatives, right? Which is tough on them mentally and physically. But yeah, and I wish that more education on PCOS was out there before they felt like it was all their fault and they couldn't do it. Like that breaks my heart the most, I'd say, because, if they had maybe some better guidance, especially younger. So when they have it at a young age and it doesn't really as bad when it's two, or the thoughts of getting pregnant are there, but it could be and helped
Right.
and supported, really.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a way, just us as women to figure this, even with fibroids. I mean, why did I find them? I mean, I guess it also depends on the size, right? But it's like I found it, like late in my 30s. Like, why is this just now? We're
Yeah.
fighting this out. But with the cysts, I was going to ask because I have a girlfriend who had to remove women with PCOS, can they remove their cysts if they have both as well, or?
Yeah, yeah, you can. That's I think it just a question of you and your doctor, how big they are. Are you in danger of them rupturing? Because that can cause a lot of damage and it could be very detrimental, like life-threatening sometimes. I remember when I had cysts years ago, I knew I did because, well, I didn't know they were cysts at the time, but I was having the same pain like every cycle. And so I finally went in and they were like, "Oh, you have this huge cyst on your ovary. Like we're gonna have to monitor
Whoa.
that to make sure it wasn't growing, because if it was, then they were gonna have to do surgery." So it really depends. Like one, if you are feeling pain or you're concerned, I would say make them do the tests, like ask for
Mm.
the ultrasounds, find a doctor who will listen to you, advocate yourself in that way. Make sure that, like, if you're like, hey, I know enough about this condition, I'm concerned about, don't let them get like, oh, everyone wants to have PCOS these days. You know what I mean? Like something, shady like that. If they do, find another doctor, but make sure they know, like, hey, make sure you write it in your notes that you've denied me these tests.
Oh.
Because, well, the cyst one for sure is like an ultrasound, and typically it's a vaginal ultrasound. They'll have to go that way to see them on the ovaries. And then the other things you could test for, obviously, I would test for inflammatory markers. I would do
Mm.
your blood sugar, your fasted, and then if I'm seeing any like signs, and honestly, just for any weight loss client, integrating blood sugar testing. So they could either have a continuous glucose monitor or they could use the finger prick thing. And it's been leaps and bounds, like such a great tool for so many of my clients so far. And I have one
Hmm.
client who like, we don't need to test anymore. She's like, but I like it. I'm gonna get monitors. And I'm like, okay, great. But you could see those things. And I think that women who also suspect that insulin resistance, those are so readily available to have, and that data is so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
It's crazy how little we find out so young.
Yes. And then obviously you could test for your androgen levels as well. You could test for FSH and LH too. You could also test for your AMH. These are all just going to be signs to help with panels, but also it together a story for you, whether it's PCOS or something else with your fertility there. So I just say like really try to advocate for yourself the best that you can. For women who are like, I think we all know our body is better than we think, and we've just given this free rein to doctors to tell us what what they think.
Hmm.
And it's like if you things going on, like continue advocating for yourself. And it's hard because healthcare is expensive, but keep trying, keep trying.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I feel like I know a lot of women are we fight some of us fight this battle with our OBGYNs, like, what is going on? And they're like, oh, it's normal, just take ibuprofen. And you're like, but that's not, I don't want that to be the answer.
Yeah.
There's more to the story here.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I guess I really wanted to also like just address some places that women can start, if they have PCOS and they don't really know where to start, or, they're feeling pretty defeated. And it's going to sound probably redundant, the first thing I'm going to say, but it's actually probably one of the most important, and it is you have to start with the basics and lay your foundation. When you say that, it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. That sounds like it's not going to work. Like I want the supplements, I want the pills, I want this, whatever it is. But the reason you are still, running on the hamster wheel is because you don't have that foundation. Your
Mhm.
nourishment is crap, your sleep is crap. Like you have to be on top of those little things because those are the things that stack up and
Mhm.
are very important. So first, it's nourishment, it's your sleep hygiene, your digestion, your gut health is going to be a huge factor because that is a very big driver, I should say, of inflammation in the body and hormone dysregulation. So get your gut together. You could even do a gut panel that would help. It's also going to help you with inflammatory markers too, making sure that you're having regular bowel movements. And that I'm going to tie in with the nutrition part is blood sugar regulation,
Hmm.
making sure that you're having those balanced meals. I'm sure you've helped your clients with that too. Like sometimes they're just swinging around their blood sugar all day, and having those balanced meals really makes a difference. And that's going to be a huge, huge, huge thing for women with PCOS and insulin resistance and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Your cycle health, start tracking that, advanced tracking that, I would suggest, because that's going to give you yourself a better visual of, are you ovulating? Are you not? Are you having a fertile window? Those kinds of things, as opposed to a predictory app. If you have that control in your own hands to see and read, that's going to be more ideal. Your movement, obviously, we don't want to go crazy because especially if we have high androgens, so that's where I would start like testing. If you do have high androgens, we know that like weightlifting and building muscle is going to increase androgens. We want to still do those things because that's healthy for us, but just we don't need to go crazy with it. Let's see, what am I missing right now? Stress. How could I possibly miss that one? The biggest one, obviously, we all know it's like the top tier. The tiers that I always say, it's like cortisol and blood sugar are on the top of the list, because they go hand in hand. Those also feed off of each other. Um, so when cortisol is released in the body due to the low blood sugar, so are adrenal androgens. So we're just like in this little circle of that. And then
Cycle.
yes, exactly. So it's very, 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 very important to regulate your nervous system. Start working on the HPA axis. Reduce the toxins, reduce the burdens on your body that you don't even think are there. They're there. And it sounds like that's a lot of work that I have to do, but you do have to do
She's
a lot
speaking
of
for
work.
me because she's been guiding me with better. products in general that I just personally, I never really thought about until recently, thanks to these beautiful ladies. And I'm like, oh yeah, I should do that. But it's worth it. It's worth it.
Worth it. Yeah, I used to like I look at my life now, and I'm sure you guys do sometimes. And it's like these little, like I sat here just now with my red light on my stomach because I just like to have like a little red light every night. Sometimes I put it on my stomach, on my face, on my legs, whatever. I put on my castor oil pack every night.
Ooh.
Doing my lymphatic drainage every day. And like that sounds like tedious stuff to some people, but it's just like it's just my life. It just flows now. You know what I mean? Like it sure might be tedious at first to do these little things, but eventually it's going to just be your life and you're not even going to notice that you're doing it. And it's not going to be
Hmm.
harming anybody. It's only going to be helping you.
Yes. Make it part of the routine.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
It'll fit so smooth.
Yeah.
What does your red light look like, mamas?
I just have this one. It's from Therasage.
Therasage.
Yeah,
Okay.
therasage, and I can't remember the name of it, but it bends, so I like this one. And it came with little like those things to stick it on stuff. So I got this one instead of a block one because I almost was gonna get one of those big block ones, but
Hmm.
I like it because it's thin and then I
Ooh.
can fold it. Like if I wanted to like lay there, just put it over my face like I do sometimes. Um,
Yeah, that's
and also if
awesome.
I wanted to travel with it, it's much smaller.
Mm.
Okay, it's
It's flatter.
so thin. List
Yeah.
for those of you listening, it's
Yeah.
so thin. That's awesome.
So I do love that.
Oh, I have to get one. I've been thinking about getting the little red light face mask that we all see on social media, but I just haven't done it yet. I'm like, I have so many gadgets at home.
I
I
almost
haven't
do too.
either. Mm.
I saw so many freaking Black Friday ads for the face ones. So I was like, okay, which one do I want? So I was gonna ask my mom for it for Christmas.
I
So I'm
love
Googling
it.
it and then I started reading all this stuff that was like, it needs to be at this power or whatever to like actually penetrate the skin of your face, and you need this level and blah 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 blah. So all the ones that were on Black Friday, they didn't meet the requirements.
Of
And I was like,
course.
of course not. And the ones that do, they're still $400.
I was gonna say the one that I have saved is yeah, a few hundred at
Yeah.
least.
$400. I was thinking like it might be 79.99.
Oh,
$400. Damn.
so much.
I guess I haven't really looked into it then.
Yeah.
I
No.
just see them. I'm like, oh, add that to my wellness room.
Yeah. Like my vibration plate too, it was like, I don't know, 80, $90. So I was like, well, I just need it for like lymphatic drainage. You need like a certain amount of hertz or something to like emit different things like that people are saying it's for. But for lymphatic drainage, you just need like minimum 10, and mine is like 7 to 12. And I was like, that's fine.
Ah,
I don't need it for
beautiful.
anything else. I want to stand there for a second. Because they trick you. They're like, oh, this is very popular now. We're going to start selling them like this. Don't
Yes.
actually meet the requirements that the studies that are out
Ah,
there for are.
ah, it's now it's like a consumer product and
Yeah.
trying to make it cheap and ship it out.
Yeah. Really quick, I just wanted to give not like recommendations to anyone who just has PCOS and doesn't know what to do, but when you are starting your journey to reversing those symptoms or managing those symptoms a little bit better, there are going to be supplements that are going to be useful to you that I would suggest you take to your coach, your practitioner, your doctor, whoever you're working with. Um, Berberine and inositol are both really great for blood sugar and insulin resistance.
I just started taking berberine.
Yes, it's a beautiful one. I love berberine. I take berberine. Like, I think it's great, especially in even like just for just us regular girlies in our luteal phases when we're a little bit more insulin resistant and naturally because of progesterone. I do like berberine, like a low dose of berberine for that too. But inositol is a huge, huge, huge one for PCOS. It's going to
Inositol.
be it's inositol. You could also look up like ovositol or myo-inositol.
That's
There
what
is
I
a ratio. What was that?
that's what I take.
The inositol?
Myo-inositol. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And there is a ratio of that, and I think we'll put it in the show notes because I don't remember it off the top of my head. I want to say it's like I don't want you want to say the numbers because I don't want it to be wrong and someone take it and fly with it. But there's a ratio of the inositols in the inositol mixes usually that you should look for the best um, results, I guess. And then spearmint tea research shows has been a great support in reducing excess testosterone. So that's a great place to start for like sipping on that spearmint tea to start reducing some testosterone or higher androgen levels.
Man, I'm over here taking my testosterone booster. Give me.
I know. I take little atrocious of testosterone. My testosterone's so low, I'm like, I wish.
I know. It's crazy how we're all so different in that, in all the ways.
Yeah. Yeah, it is crazy. But yeah, is there anything else you guys like I obviously don't want to give like so much recommendation so people, you know, get lost because it is again, you heard how many different like phenotypes there are. You could have you heard different drivers. It could be inflammation, the gut, your stress,
Yeah.
all those things that it could be. So really like figuring out slowly where it's coming from and start to like just chip away at it that way is going to be your best bet instead of just like grabbing this supplement and grabbing this thing to do. Like if you're really focusing on lowering androgens but you don't have low androgens and you're missing the whole point, like you're just kind of doing yourself a little bit of a disservice. So trying to get as much testing as you can, but if you can't,
Mhm.
if you've tried everything you could, you can't find a doctor that would, start with your foundations, the low-hanging fruit, and work your way up to finding the root cause.
That's great advice to mamas,
I
especially.
go ahead, sir.
No, 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 you go, mama.
I was at a wellness event probably like 6 months ago, and I met this girl who had her own booth, and she had a big old sign that said PCOS, and she like listed a whole bunch of, like symptoms. Well, I say PCOS, PCOS, whatever.
I love
So
it.
she has a sign. I've always done that. PCOS, PCOS. She has a sign of all of the symptoms, and some of them are similar to endometriosis. So I walked over there and I just started talking to her and I was like telling her about my endo journey, and then she was telling me that she, got diagnosed with PCOS, I think like back in 2018. And she was around our age, maybe even a little bit younger, to be honest. And she was just saying that there was like no information out there about it.
Mm.
She was like dealing with the biggest one to her was like hair, facial hair. And she's like, what the hell is happening to me? Long story short, she ended up finding out that she had PCOS, and she didn't know what to do. She didn't know what supplements she needed to take, nutrition. She didn't know any of that. So she just started basically doing all of her own research, and she started finding other women who had the same symptoms and found out that they were also getting diagnosed with PCOS but didn't have any help. So she ended up doing a ton of research, and she started taking like 8 different supplements that are supposed to, help with the symptoms. And she finally was like, this is enough. Like, I'm not going to be taking 8 supplements and doing all of this. So she created her own supplement. They bought it from her.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was like, girl, I'm gonna support you. And I was like, honestly, I was like, half the stuff that's in your supplements I need for my endo. So I was like, girl, I'll just, So I have this box here. Obviously, the viewers can't see it, but it's a little packet for morning and night. And you can either put it in a drink or you just put it right into your mouth. And it's brownie flavor. So she's like, I taste it where it
Ooh.
actually is gonna taste good and not terrible.
Love.
But
Yes.
um yeah, it's sustainable, non-GMO. There's like nothing. She's very holistic, and
Drop the name, girl.
yeah,
What's
so
it
I will.
called?
So it's called Groove,
Okay.
Gruve, and you guys can follow her on Instagram. She's amazing. I literally like was in awe of her. And then her Instagram is Find My Groove. So find
Aw.
Ruve.
I love it.
And yeah, I mean, she has all of the inositol, can't even talk,
I know I can barely say
ingredients in
inositol.
here. So
Yeah.
she has an ovarian support blend with the mayo, holy basil leaf, and D Cairo. Is that how you say it, Britt? D Cairo.
Chiron nostal, yeah.
Yeah, and then she has a proprietary liposomal blend. Liposomal, am I saying that right?
Liposomal, that's how I pronounce it.
Liposomal blend. Vitamin K, vitamin E, vitamin D, B6, B12. Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Amazing.
And Groove, if you're listening and want to sponsor us, that's great because we love your product.
I know, right? We do. Holistic,
Oh,
safe,
goodness.
organic. I mean, it
Yes.
literally has all the good stuff in it, nothing bad. So, highly,
That's
yeah, highly
wonderful.
recommend reaching out to her. She was super sweet and you know,
Aw, yes.
Love that. Yeah,
mhm.
absolutely. I love that. I agree. There's like so many hundreds of supplements you could take, and it's like, can we just have like one with I
Mhm.
get it, to some degree, which is like, okay, maybe someone doesn't need X, Y, and Z, and it's going to be bad for them, and we would put this one in there. But, there should be these options of like, let's just have it all in one. Let's
Multi.
have it all in one.
Yes. More multis for specifics.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I also wanted to say that weight loss is a huge symptom, but there are women with PCOS who have no issues with their weight loss. Like they could be lean, they could be super like, you know, what the ones with PCOS who are like, I have trouble with weight loss are like, well, this girl can obviously have PCOS, but because she's like super fit, she's super lean.
Mm.
No, she can also have PCOS
Hmm.
too. So it's just, I think, more common to see that weight loss issue, but you can absolutely have that. And then that also, you going through that, supporting ovulation is really the main goal because that's what we need to do in order to have like those healthy cycles and produce our hormones. Whatever you're doing now will matter in 3 months from now. If you guys have just had your period, you start producing your new follicle or a new follicle starts to grow, I should say, that whatever you're doing right now to help that follicle will show up in 3 months when you ovulate in the
Wow.
future. So let's say like you had a shit cycle this month or ovulation was a little late or your progesterone was a little bit low, the health of that follicle is from whatever you did a few months ago. So whenever you're thinking about like, okay, how can I nourish and help my body? Think about how can you nourish and help ovulation specifically.
I
And so,
like
like,
that.
yeah, like those vitamins in there. Vitamin C is one of the key vitamins you need for progesterone production. So make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're reducing inflammation in the body. Our strongest point in our cycle is around ovulation, which is because estrogen peaks, testosterone peaks. We're freaking strong as shit in that time. We have a lot of energy during that time too, but the process itself is an inflammatory process. Both our periods and ovulation are inflammatory processes, which is why people can sometimes feel pain or have some spotting during that time too. So, keeping that in mind that, yeah, you feel really strong, make sure you're recovering the heck out of yourself so that you're reducing inflammation in the body so you're not overstressing, reducing that LH signal, and you're allowing that spike to occur so that the follicles can come out, but also supporting the follicle growth so that it's nice and healthy to come out of ovulation and then also have a strong, healthy corpus luteum to produce the progesterone afterwards. Ovulation is the star of the show.
Okay, okay. Good. I love that. Well, thank you. That was no, really, really valuable because, like I said, I only know a few bits and pieces of it. So to hear it kind of like really well summed up is very, very helpful. And for so many people, a lot of people have PCOS.
A
Mhm.
lot of people do, yeah. And like Fallon said, like the girl was saying, there's just not a lot out there about it. I think it's getting better. I think people are talking about it more. I see a lot of girlies on Instagram who have it, who have started their own pages like My Journey with PCOS and sharing information from their journey through it, managing their symptoms and reversing their symptoms and things like that. And I think it's creating a really positive community for them in that way. So there's a lot that goes into PCOS, a lot more than like 30 minutes of stuff, but it's really a good place to start right here, just getting a little bit more familiar with the information.
Love. Thank you so much, Britt, for all your beautiful knowledge.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
girl.
You're welcome. Well, if anyone has PCOS questions, concerns, or they want any more information, they can leave us a comment on this episode or on our Instagram page. And
Yeah. And let us know because I think it within like even just the three of us with endo and fibroids and Brittany, I don't know, girl, if you told me you had cysts before, that might be new information for me.
Yeah, so what happened to that cyst? Did it just go away or
yeah,
it's something yeah, it did.
yeah, oh, well, I got my cysts when I had my hormonal birth control. I had an IUD and I had cysts the whole time. Well, I'd say the whole second half of having that. So I had in total that IUD total of 8 years. And then like they progressively got like a little worse, the cysts did, until the one day I was like, this one's really painful. I couldn't like walk without it like immediately hurting into my ovary. And that was the one they were like, this is pretty big. And we're
Oh
gonna,
my God.
yeah. And
Is
then it
that a
did just
side
get worse.
effect?
What was that?
Is that a side effect for the IUD?
That it is, yeah. Increased it,
Oh my,
especially with that IUD, yeah. Hmm.
that's
So
so
how long did it take for your cyst to go away? Like once you found out it was there?
Not long. A few, yeah, within a week. Like
A week?
I never went back to the doctor for that cyst specifically either. Like I never had to. They just subsided.
so you took out the IUD?
I did, yeah, but not to get rid of the cyst. I just didn't do anything about the cyst, and then it just went away.
So do you think it had something to do with you taking it out though, the IUD?
No, I didn't take it out that day.
Oh, so
I
you
had it
found
for years after.
oh,
Yeah, because I didn't know
Okay.
that's what was causing my cysts.
a week is crazy. These people are gonna be like hitting you up like a week? You lost your cyst in a week? What did you do?
And
I'm
I
like
say I
going
lost it. I shouldn't say I
for
lost it. I should just say no pain within the week.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was still there in a week. You just
I have
didn't
no idea. I never went to go get it looked at again because the
Oh,
pain went away.
oh, so you don't even know if you have it or you don't.
It wouldn't still be there now, no.
Why do you say that?
Because so if it was like big,
This
these,
is part two, ladies.
yeah. So there's like, yeah, I think that because you two have fibroids, those are going to stay because that's more like a scar tissue situation.
Right.
And these cysts are just follicles that haven't fully developed, so they will essentially disintegrate. If they get too big and start growing, they can rupture though. Just like
Right.
if you get like a cyst like on your skin, those can go away
Mhm.
by themselves sometimes.
Mhm.
It's like that same kind of concept, essentially. It can just, yeah, go away, really. Just
Because I feel like
disintegrate.
that's different from endometriosis cysts then, right? Because those
Yeah.
can't just like, disappear randomly, I feel like.
Yeah. So with endometriosis, and fibroids, it's really more of like a scar tissue situation.
Okay.
And that they can shrink for sure. And then they also can, um, I don't know if the disintegrate is the word for that one, but there are things that can help those metabolize, is maybe that a good word? Like nanokinase, and there's another enzyme that can help diminish scar tissue within the body. And so
Mhm.
there's little things that can help, and those can be reduced and or if they're small enough, like go away.
Mhm. Hmm.
Okay.
But typically when you have like endometriosis or like fibroids, you do that surgical thing because it's
Mhm.
so much or it's so either so painful or it's so much
Mhm.
Right.
that like you really just have to do the surgery.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I did the surgery and then my cyst came right back. Like literally the next doctor did it. And he was like, yeah, it's not like they're just gonna go away. Like they're gonna be there. But she's like, they can shrink. And I think like the next doctor visit I went, it was a little bit smaller than it was the last time.
Yeah. Yeah. So they can shrink, they can grow. It's basically like almost like if you think about it like just a cell, like that cell is either being fed or it's being deprived of whatever it's feeding off of kind of
Right.
thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, So it can shrink, and then yeah, if more inflammation is in the body, it can start to grow again or whatever's, causing it, and then you reduce the inflammation and it kind of goes down. It takes a little time and then it could grow again, that kind of like thing. And with cysts that I like the cysts that I have had gotten, um, it would just be okay, my ovary is trying to, well, it's trying to ovulate, it's trying to release a follicle, but it's not releasing the follicle. So then that
Mm.
follicle stays stuck for a second, but it's gonna go somewhere because it's just tissue. I'm not feeding it really anything, and it will eventually just disintegrate, not turn really into anything. It can burst if it gets too big or if there's too much pressure, and it is filled, with I don't really
Hmm.
know what it's filled with, to be honest. But whatever it is, um, yeah, that's what could cause even more excruciating pain. And you'd probably have to go to the doctor for that, like the hospital.
Right.
Mm. And I
'Cause
think
my,
that's what my girlfriend had.
ooh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
my
she had
cysts
a
were filled
burst.
with blood.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's yeah, but I know that mine were filled
And
with
your cysts are on your ovaries.
right. And she said, because I was like, explain to me how I just went through this crazy surgery and you're literally telling me that I have cysts again. And she was like, well, like you mentioned with this, that they're cells. She was like, even if the tiniest cell is
Mm.
left after surgery, it can duplicate into another cyst. So she's like, that's most of the time what happens. So that's probably what happened with you. There, she's like, my doctor was amazing, my surgeon. Like, I love him. He was amazing. And he removed basically all of it. But she's like, sometimes there could be like one little cell left over, and that little cell just wants to have another family on your ovary. So
Yeah.
now you have
Yours?
more cysts. So, but like she said, it's just a monitoring game, just as long as it doesn't get bigger. Because she's like, once
Oh.
it gets to a certain size is when you can talk about surgery. But for me, she was like, and with you wanting to get pregnant, even if it does get to that like surgery size, she's like, I wouldn't even tell you to do another surgery to remove it because she's like, you want to get pregnant, it's not causing you pain, like this and that. She was like, I would just get the pregnancies out of the way and then if they get bigger or cause you more pain, then we can look at having another surgery and removing them. But she's like, honestly, it's just like you're just gonna keep you're just gonna keep having surgery after surgery to remove these cysts. Like, no, there's gotta be another way. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely not what I want to do.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my.
yeah.
When I was learning about endometriosis too, there was a lady, her name's Katie Edmonds. She's written a book about how to heal endo. It's a great book. I don't know if I told you about that book or not.
Mm-mm.
Um, and she explains it super, super well, but she kind of like explains it as though it's a cancer cell.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you
Mm.
don't get rid of cancer cell entirely, it's gonna come back.
Right.
Hmm.
It's the same thing. And she also kind of explains it the same way of like, if you have this cell like floating in your body, it could just be, doing nothing. It's not harming you, it's not growing, it's doing nothing until something attacks it and then it
Mm-hmm.
starts to grow.
Right.
So I think that if anyone's listening or if you were looking into her, name's Katie Edmonds. I think she's on Instagram called Heal Endo. Yeah, heal.endo on Instagram. Amazing. Her book, you could get it off of Amazon too. It's also called Heal Endo. So she explains it really well, and I really like that visual explanation too. But and then I was just looking over here at my notes because after I have my PCOS notes, I have endo notes. But yeah, so your cysts are, um, again, that endometrial tissue filled with blood. And
Mm-hmm.
just a regular cyst is just since it's the follicle, it's not filled with blood, it's just fluid. It's just filled with fluid.
Okay,
Oh.
gotcha.
Yeah. So when you yeah, when yours ruptures, definitely doesn't feel good. And yours is like it's filled with old blood.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like brown blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So not super ideal, but you're
Well,
doing
I was saying all that to say that, but between the three of us, I'm sure there are so many women with just so many things. I feel like we have so many things that we have to work through and live through as women, and being the main, the birth carriers.
Yeah.
So definitely let us know, ladies, in the comments, like what you might be, dealing with or living through, what your journey's been like. And message us on IG because Britt will be in that chat.
I'll be there.
Yes.
You guys, this was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, girl. And thank you
Thank
guys for
you.
listening. Please don't forget to rate us so more women can find out all of these, things that we're living through with you and we can reach more people. We would just really appreciate it.
Yes. Until next time.
Bye.